Hey, just a little reminder, a couple weeks after the Trump assassination attempt, you do not care about political violence. You care about Donald Trump. And even then, you'd think it'd be a bigger story, but we're on a 2-week news cycle, at best. Biden dropped out a week later, and the media never really found an angle on the shooter. I mean, what were they gonna do? Talk about the mental health crisis again? No one's gonna do anything about mental health, same as no one's gonna do anything about guns, so why bother? Political violence was a hot buzzword for like 2 minutes.
Political violence.
Political violence.
Political violence is a scourge.
How out of control political violence is.
Political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of.
I know you guys want to play with your shiny new cool coconut brat Kamala Harris, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I am here to remind you that in 2018, Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi was assassinated in Istanbul under orders from Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, aka MBS. There's a lot of angles you can take once the US starts getting high and mighty about political violence, because there's so much political violence that the US is either actively involved in or benefiting from. But because we're talking about an assassination attempt, looking at America's response to a recent political assassination seems particularly relevant. He was planning a wedding with his fiancée. He was confronted by an assassination squad at the Saudi consulate. He was suffocated and dismembered. Then they sent out a look-alike in his clothes and had cleaners destroy the evidence. Donald Trump helped Saudi Arabia and MBS cover it up.
The king firmly denied any knowledge of it. He didn't really know. Maybe, I don't want to get into his mind, but it sounded to me like maybe these could have been rogue killers.
Of course, we know the strong ties between Trump and Mohammed bin Salman, and we know that Trump started speaking about the rogue elements before even the Saudi government came up with this terminology. So he wanted to give them the exit, therefore they can use it in order to cover up the crime. And this, unfortunately, was the role of Trump administration.
In 2020, Joe Biden campaigned to, quote, reassess our relationship with the kingdom and make sure America does not check its values at the door to sell arms or buy oil.
Khashoggi was in fact murdered and dismembered, and I believe in the order of the Crown Prince. And I would make it very clear, we were not going to in fact sell more weapons to them. We were going to in fact make them pay the price and make them in fact the pariah that they are. There's very little social redeeming value in the present government in Saudi Arabia. And I would also, as pointed out, I would end the subsidies that we have, end the sale of material to the Saudis, who they're going in and murdering children and they're murdering innocent people. And so they have to be held accountable.
But once elected, that very same Joe Biden wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post, the very publication that Jamal Khashoggi worked for, where he acknowledged that his decision to visit Saudi Arabia was controversial, but that, quote, the Middle East waterways are essential for global trade and the supply chains we rely on. Its energy resources are vital. He mentions Khashoggi once in the entire article, seemingly bragging about getting justice for Khashoggi while refusing to mention the assassination connection to MBS. I think it comes off as especially callous for that omission. And then he fucked off to Saudi Arabia to fist bump with MBS like nothing happened. The Saudis even wound up cutting back oil production, which Biden also threatened MBS over, but ultimately didn't do anything about. What a joke. You know, my favorite song of the summer has been Little Homies by Vince Staples. The hook goes, life hard, but I go harder. Life hard, but I go harder. And then at the end it goes, hey. Don't crash out. It's a positive message that I need in my life right now. But here I go crashing out again. I'm about to go full edgelord. The Joker was right. I don't care how cringe you think. Nope, not that one. Not Gen Z Joker. Millennial Joker. There we go. That's my boy. I don't care how cringe you think it is, and I know that by now it's a cliche, that supervillains make really good points and then they make them do completely unforgivable things so that we'll feel bad for agreeing with them, but I had to come back to this one.
You know what I noticed? Nobody panics when things go according to plan, even if the plan is horrifying. If tomorrow I tell the press that, like, a gangbanger will get shot, or a truckload of soldiers will be blowing up, nobody panics, because it's all part of the plan. But when I say that one little old mare will die, well, then everyone loses their minds.
A journalist can be killed for speaking out without justice being served, and it's no big deal. Nobody panics.
Nobody panics.
But somebody shoots Donald Trump, and all I hear is we nearly avoided a civil war.
We were half an inch away from a possible civil war.
We were about 1 centimeter away from literally having a civil war.
Our country came within a millimeter of a civil war. And if you don't believe that, you're retarded.
Everyone loses their minds.
Then everyone loses their minds.
Anyway, I was thinking about Jamal Khashoggi in the wake of the Trump assassination attempt, hoping somebody might point out that Trump himself helped create a cover story for an assassination, or that Joe Biden looked the other way once given the opportunity to do something about it after saying he was going to do something about it. For the record, in the past, Khashoggi supported the Saudi royal family and looked the other way during the war in Yemen and a lot of other things. But like Khadija Mbo says, you can always change your mind, and you should be able to do so without having to pay with your life. So if you're looking for a perfect victim, I suggest you watch a network procedural such as Law and Order. That's all I was trying to say. That's all I wanted to talk about. There's still no justice for Jamal Khashoggi, and I believe that set a dangerous precedent, especially for the involvement of a country that has free speech as the First Amendment in its constitution. And while Khashoggi was a high-profile example with ties to the U.S., MBS is still punishing dissidents and human rights activists with jail time and worse.
That is what I'm fearful of. It is becoming a one-man rule. He has a control on everything. He is creating an environment of intimidation and fear. Saudis are being silenced.
And that's why I've never watched the WWE Saudi Arabia show, and I never plan to. I've been NickolasNameolas, and
yo, nobody's listening to me.
I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. I know you can do that. I know I can do that. I know we can do that. I've been stuck at over 7,000 most of this year. I am not experiencing the kind of growth that I need to get this channel where I want it to be. I get messages all the time telling me I'm gonna make it, and it's only a matter of time before my channel blows up, and I appreciate it, but my views are not growing, my subs are not growing. I personally think my Charlemagne and Joe Budden video deserves way more views than it got. You know, I'm open to advice, but I also need some support. So like and subscribe and comment. I'm so tired of saying this. Share my videos. Support me on Patreon. Mainstream journalism is burnt to a crisp. You're not going to find pieces like this from them out there. I have tiers as low as $1. You'll still get cool stuff. I'd like to get to $500 a month. I know that can happen. Maybe saying my current goals out loud can bring me closer to them. One can only hope. This video wasn't on my schedule. I just wanted to get something out to you while I work on a new video about Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball, so look out for that. I'm really sorry if I'm grumpy. I'm just tired in a way that sleep can't fix, and I need help, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to do to make this work. Thank you for believing in me.
I want you to bring me the cash. I said I want you to bring me the cash. I want you to bring me the cash. 1 time, 2 times for that ass. I want you to bring